It's called the Epstein Files Book Club. So I just was like, I need a place. I'm online. I'm reading the files. I'm watching other people synthesize them. I feel crazy. I know a lot of other people feel crazy too. I just need an outlet.
Yeah.
And I reached out to my friend Elise Hu, who's a journalist. And I was like, do you want to do this? Because we've been wanting to do a podcast together. And she's like, absolutely. And so we're going to put it out. But it's like, you know, you're never going to get through all the files. It's also like, there are tons of conspiracies. There are allegations that they gave us that are most likely not credible. And as we're reading the documents, you're like, is this like another disinformation campaign?
Yeah.
At one point, Elise said, she's like, do you think that we're limiting ourselves by calling it this? And I'm like, this is not going away. This is going to be, it's also not even about Epstein as much as it is about just everything, the world that we're living in. And it's about like tech, it's about power, it's about billionaires, it's about sexual violence against women and boys. It's about all of it, you know?
When I was in 6th grade, I had this fantastic teacher, Mrs. Pashery, and I remember her writing on the chalkboard. She was like the social studies teacher. And she said, the world runs on 2 things. And this is 6th grade, power and money. And then she said, and sometimes sex gets in there as well. Like, amazing. This is like late 80s, Abington, Pennsylvania, amazing teacher. I was just at my high school reunion at Thanksgiving, and I was literally talking to someone I went to elementary school with about this. I was like, do you remember when Miss Pashery did this? Because, God damn, is she correct?
Wow.
And I think about that, not to distill it down, but it is like, I just couldn't agree with you more that, yes, it's about the true horror show that is in these files. And to a degree where it's like, you can't even imagine some of this stuff. Like in your worst, you cannot. And also it is about so much more.
Yeah.
And the cover up and the distraction that is being like
the decades of complicity of these people in power, just destroying so much, destroying lives. Just it's so crazy how deep it goes. And I think it was like Pam Bondi or someone who was like, if we held everyone accountable, then our like government would collapse. It won't collapse, by the way. That's fear mongering. Like there are a lot of really talented people who don't like assault kids.
9-year-olds. Yes. Deep breath. Okay. So you and Elise are going to do this podcast. Say the name again. The Epstein Files
The Epstein Files Book Club. And it's not going to be like, we're not just going to go over what's in the files. We're
Turn
going
to page 9,000.
No, I know. But it's just like every week there's like new news updates. So it's like trying to like look at the news updates through this lens.
Yeah.
Like it's really interesting right now how they raided Elon's office in Paris and how other European governments are unredacting the files. And like, is that what it's going to take? Because our government at the moment is like fully co-opted by people like I'm actually afraid to talk about because it's scary.
We won't say those names. Yeah.
I mean, everyone knows what we're talking about,
Yes,
but it's just like we don't necessarily live in like a representative democracy at the moment. And so it's like, as we talk about this, I mean, there are so many people, Jon Stewart, and there's so many people talking about this that are higher profile than me. So I'm like, I'm not worried that much, but I'm also like, should I be? It's scary.
Yeah, it is scary.
It's really scary.
No, exactly. And I think even just, I wanted to get your perspective on that of like, what does it feel like to live in your body on a daily basis, right? Not just you. And because I think being someone who is forward facing and famous and notable is one thing. And that's vulnerable in and of itself. Wanting to have a successful career, that's another strand of, you know, we moved out here for a reason. And then when you add this into it,
I know.
It's a lot. It's fucking a lot.
It feels like right now is the time to be brave.
Yes.
Right now.
Yeah.
Saying that as someone who has a kid, which feels I know there's a disconnect because I'm also like, what am I doing? And I lost my mom, and my mom was also my protector who was like, don't do this.
Yeah.
Be careful. So it's really hard for me to know how to be.
Yep.
But it does feel like right now is the time to be brave. Now, if I got a letter from the government telling me to shut down my podcast, I would. I just want my family to be safe.
You're reminding me of something, too. The New York Times sent you a cease and desist letter at some point?
Yes.
Early in your career?
So I got a cease and desist from the New York Times because I parodied their wedding videos, and we used the exact logo, and people thought it was real. It was like a fake wedding video about a woman and a serial killer. That's the what inspired my feature. That we're hoping to get it made.
Oh, the
I'll
one.
tell you,
Oh, yeah.
We have some really exciting developments, and
That's
so
amazing.
we're hoping to get it made. But I did a thing when I was like traveling Europe and doing comedy. I did this like parody website called Not So Lonely Planet, and it was about like men in different countries I'd met, and I was kind of making fun of them and their dating rituals and how like creepy they were, you know. Lonely Planet came after me for that. My first project that I did out the gate on my own was this, and I wrote about it in my book. It was a satire on American Girl dolls as refugees. And it was really edgy and really funny, and it got 1 star in Time Out Chicago. They called it akin to a summer camp talent show. They said it was the worst comedic attempt of 2007, which was not even a category in Time Out Chicago. I took the show to New York, and it got like 4 stars.
Amazing.
And they got it. They're like, it's a 23-year-old writing a political satire with a cast of 10 hilarious women.
Yeah, they got it.
They got it. And that's what inspired me to move to New York. But I've always pushed on these buttons.
Yeah.
At The Daily Show, we were never censored. We did a piece on
One more reason to love The Daily Show.
We did a piece on fast food worker strikes, and McDonald's was like our sponsor. And I think like the head of Comedy Central came the day that our piece aired, and we got no flack. I specifically remember one piece we did about methane emissions and fracking. After the piece aired, like a week later, the White House issued a statement that they were calling to like lower methane emissions and fracking wells.
Amazing.
Another piece we did, Asif Mavi was a correspondent about voter ID laws. Our piece that I produced was cited in a court case to overturn racist voter ID laws in North Carolina. It really felt like we were living in a reality where like if you shine a light on something and in a way that's funny enough for people to hear it,
exactly,
then you could actually like make slow incremental changes.
Yes.
And now all that is blown out of the water.
I can't believe, doesn't it feel like we are just in a twilight zone every day? Like we can't, and I try to get beyond that because just being sort of in grief about where we are.
They want you to feel that way too.
Totally. Absolutely. And it's really hard not to.
But I always used to look to people like John Lewis. You know what I mean? Someone who still fought.
Well, when you were saying like now feels like the time to be brave, even though it's scary. And I think like, yeah, good trouble.
Good trouble.
Yeah, I know.
And Jane Fonda, people who fought. And, you know, I mean, I caution, especially the kind of Gen Z online, the social media, just us not actually being able to have conversations in person, everybody just being online, and it's changing our brains. It's taking us outside of our communities.
Well, and that's what I think also, you know, I feel like I'm walking around screaming into the void at all times. Like we are not okay since the pandemic.
That
and
too.
Right. And I feel like we talked about this when we were catching up a couple of years ago too, but like so the pandemic happened, we put one foot in front of the other. We're the lucky ones. We didn't die. Everything, like we had enough, we got through it. And then specifically to our corner of the world, the strikes of 2023. And then just what has happened in the country at large since then, I think it is this like snowball effect of we were not okay, and it pushed so much on just human interaction.
Also, the level that everybody was online, like your online usage before the pandemic versus it's just, I mean, these tools are addictive.
Yeah.